Hello and welcome to another Walking Dead video, and today we'll be doing a ranking of every settlement that we meet in The Walking Dead from Season 1 all the way to Season 11. And this is an extensive list. We are not only doing the big settlements, but we're also doing the settlements that our characters meet for maybe one episode and never see them again. There's one exception, and that is the Whisperer camp, because the whole thing is they don't have a settlement. The Whisperers are excluded from this list. So I do have some rules to help me rank this. I have two major rules. One is fully just appeals, like, do I think it looks cool? Do I like the vibe of the settlement? Like, stuff like that. And the second one is survivability. Is there resources readily available to the settlement? And would I survive if I lived in that settlement? So now we got that out of the way, let's jump right into number 17, the Vatos gang. And these are the people that Rick meets in Season 1 after they steal his guns. And these people will live in downtown Atlanta. And that is mainly the reason why it's in last place. They are in one of the most dangerous places in The Walking Dead, a massive city, so lots of walkers, and it is not self-sufficient at all. You might have lots of supplies around you in the initial outbreak, but once you pick the buildings around you clean, what are you going to do? There's not enough space or sunlight or anything like that to build a nice self-sustaining farm. You eventually have to leave the settlement, so it's not a very good place to live. And because the elderly are a massive population of this settlement, there's a chance that you could have an outbreak from maybe one death, and bam, you're dead. So it has to be in last place. Moving on, the 16th place is the Grady Memorial Hospital. This is also in Atlanta, so massive debuffs here. I'm not going to sit in any place that's in the middle of a city. And it's not self-sufficient. You're in a hospital, you have maybe a couple top floors, you don't really have space to grow farms to survive the long period, but there are resources around. But once you get past that, same issue as the previous one. But the one positive is that there are doctors here. You do have that medical care, so that is slight buff for this location, and it does look a bit better than some dingy warehouses in downtown Atlanta. Number 15 is the Atlanta Quarry Camp. The reason why this is so bad is, first of all, no protection. They are literally just in a camp, and in the episode in Season 1, walkers literally just walk straight in and kill a giant population of the camp. I ain't gonna survive any of this. So first of all, survivability out. Resources, it's not as resource rich as the other two. However, it is just safer, so pros. But I do like it a bit more as well with the aesthetics. It's a cool camp. It's just that safety is gone, so it has to be so low. At 14th place will be the Junkyard. And first of all, this is the Junkyard. I hate all the aesthetics, so it has to be as low as possible. However, it is safer than the Atlanta camp. It is not in a city, so it gets wins over the last ones. But it is not sustainable. Where you're really going to grow food, there's not good soil there. And the people there are just really annoying. They all talk funny. And you have Jadis as a leader. So it's almost as bad as living in downtown Atlanta during a zombie apocalypse. In 13th place is the Riverbend / the apartment block from episode 13 and 14 of Season 11. This has some better pros than the previous ones, like it's in the middle of nowhere. It is not in a city during an apocalypse. However, it doesn't seem very sustainable. There's nowhere to really grow, which is very key, so there's not really any resources ready there. It is more or less safe. However, you have the issue of the people there are crazy, and overall, I really don't like the vibe of that community. Those people are just a bit weird. It's not very nice to walk around there. It's a bit claustrophobic. So I'm not a fan of this place. Moving on to 12th place, and we have the CDC. This has some massive bonuses, like it is the safest place in all of these settlements. This has the max safety. Once you're in there, you're safe. No walker gonna get in. However, the door's locked behind you. There's food everywhere, which is amazing, so tons of resources. The one issue is the building has a tendency to blow up when it runs out of fuel. So that's a place which is like, it's got a lot of pros, but there's one massive con which really puts me off wanting to stay here. It has some cool aesthetics, very sciencey, but I imagine it would be very lonely just chilling there with only one doctor who doesn't seem very good for company. In 11th place is the settlement of Terminus, and the biggest issue about this one is that if you lived here, you would eat people. However, you can see it's a plus side. You then have a constant source of resources and food with people coming in and giving you more ammo, stuff like that. However, that lowers its safety overall because eventually someone's going to come in and kill you. So I probably wouldn't survive here, or I'd be eaten by now, which does rank it down. But the reason why it's so high is I really like the aesthetics of Terminus. It looks really cool to be there, and it's a very visually pleasing place to be compared to the ones before it. All the other ones before it, I do not like the way they look, and it's either the location, but if it's not the location, it is mostly the aesthetics which bump it down. This is the first place which has massive negatives, but I just really like the aesthetics, so it is pushed up. In 10th place is the farm, and this is another visually pleasing place, even though it has massive negatives, like it has 0 protection, so I probably wouldn't survive, because eventually a walker horde would come through, and bam, I'd be dead. But it is slightly self-sufficient, so if I dealt with the safety, this would be a great location. So there is some pros and cons of the farm. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Moving on to 9th place is Meridian / the Reaper community. And this is more as a flip of the farm, but it is above the farm mostly because of how protected it is. And out of survivability, it is definitely more important to be, would I live there? Yes, I would most likely live here more than the farm because I would probably live slightly longer. However, there will be a resource issue with this community, so there you give some, you take some in a way. This community also has a very strong family kind of feel and vibe, which is really cool. However, the leader is a bit crazy, so it does knock it down a little. And I am not a fan of the location. It does look quite interesting, but it is kind of a factory type location, which I'm not a fan of. But moving into number 8, and it's the Sanctuary, which is basically exactly the same as Meridian, with it being very protected, it having a slightly crazy leader, and the community, it doesn't have that family vibe, but it is more of a fear vibe. However, this is mostly higher than Meridian, is because I like the factory feel of this one more than the other one. So this one wins over aesthetics alone, not over survivability. The community in 7th place is Woodbury, and this is mostly so high because of the aesthetics. There are some big negatives with this one. It is very small, one street, so there's not really a place to have a proper agriculture system, so there is not any resource replenishment at this community, and the surviving off scavenging. It is near a town, so you have walkers. Downside, but positive, resources. It does have protection, there are walls. However, crazy leader. But this does have a very tight-knit community feel, and it does have the feel of the old ways. The quality of life here, for how short it would be very good. So that attracts me to be like, yeah, I would live in this community if I had a choice to live here. In 6th place is the community of the Kingdom, and the issue with the Kingdom is that it is not self-sufficient at all, and the place is just falling apart, so it does barely miss out on the top 5. However, you have an amazing leader at the Kingdom and a very cool community. But the biggest reason why this is so high over some more self-sufficient and overall better communities is the aesthetics. I really like the aesthetics of the community. It has a very cool theme. It is a very entertaining place to be, and that draws me to this community more than other communities which would otherwise be better that are further down this list. So the Kingdom just steals the 6th spot on basically Ezekiel alone with his charisma. Now we're in the top 5, and all of these places are places that I'm like, yes, I would 100% basically go here and survive. In 5th place is Oceanside. Even though I'm not a fan of the aesthetics, it's okay. It is a very unique base which is good because we've had a couple of communities which have very similar themes and locations, and they quite mesh together and they're a bit boring. But Oceanside is one of the most unique communities outside the kingdom, with its whole theme being around in the woods and at a beach. So it does have that going for it. It's hidden, so it's super safe, and it's sustainable because it's near the sea. You can go fish. This is one of the safest communities just because of how remote it is and how it has a constantly replenishing food source with the ocean. In fourth place is the community of the Commonwealth, and this is up there the most safest communities, with it being a whole city. You have security like Mercer, and the food, you don't have to worry about it because it's just normal society. However, the issue why it's not in top place and in fourth is because the leadership is corrupt. And if I went here, I wouldn't have anything special. I wouldn't be rich. I would just have a normal job and life would just be a bit boring. The quality of life would be lower than some of the other settlements lower down the list. This community is mostly so high because of how safe it is and how long I would survive here. It has some good aesthetics, but it doesn't deserve to be in the top 3. Now, these next 3 all have almost exactly the same survivability. It is purely on aesthetics. So in third place we have the prison, and first of all, amazing leadership. You have the council, or Grimes. Is sustainable. They turn the giant grassland into a field. You have meat, they have a little farm, but it's a prison location. It's not the prettiest place to be, and it's not the vibiest, so that pushes it down. It is very safe with it being a prison. However, this had the only issue where if walkers got on the wall, they could push down the fences eventually. So quality of life is good, but somebody would have to eventually always go every once in a while, clear out the walkers. In second place is the Hilltop. First of all, I think the quality of life will be very high in this one, even higher than the prison, just because of how much you're growing. So you have all this resources. Survivability will be super long. It has one thing the prison doesn't have, and it has better walls. And it's way more aesthetically unique and cool. I really like the Hilltop because of how it looks, and it has a great location. It is far away from anywhere, so there'll be very little walker issue, unlike the prison. But there is one community that I think is better than the Hilltop, and that is Alexandria. This is definitely my favourite community, and if I had to choose out any of these communities to survive in, it would have to be Alexandria. This community is self-sufficient with farms, it is very safe with metal walls, and it even has power through solar powered generators. This community has doctors, and it has full-on buildings. The one issue with the Hilltop is that a lot of people would have to hide within these small shacks across the side, as Hilltop was literally one big house, a couple of small buildings, and everyone had to cram into that. This is a bigger community, and everyone would get a house more or less themselves. So the quality of life is even higher than Hilltop, as you have that privacy thing that I don't think you would have in Hilltop. However, I feel like Hilltop does have more of a community feel. I overall like the vibe and aesthetics of Alexandria more. It feels more like a little town than Hilltop, which feels more like an outpost, and I really like the town feel of Alexandria. It's the most pleasing to look at. It has great leadership, and this definitely has to be my favourite community. But please tell me down below, do you agree with my list of my least favourite to most favourite community, or do you have a different opinion on what should be the order of this list, depending on my criteria, which is aesthetics, survivability, which is resources, how abundant are they, and would I survive if I lived there? Please tell me your thoughts and opinions down below, and if I missed out any communities, please tell me, because I think I got almost all of them, minus excluding the Whisperer one, because that's technically not a community. It is just a bunch of people changing camp every so often. But please tell me your thoughts and opinions, anything down below. If you want more Walking Dead content, please look on the screen, and I recommend you click on something because you'll find something else you like, guaranteed. And make sure to like and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Walking Dead and to help out the channel. This is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye bye!